The amount of people having babies is at an all-time low.
First month, last month, and security deposit because I can't save money because my income isn't raising while my rent is raising.
And so what the boomers are saying, you kids, what are you doing? We need to keep things the same. They look at them and say, what are you talking about?
I bought a house in Texas and immediately I couldn't afford it.
Average American can no longer afford to live.
Are we great yet, America? Someone explain why it costs $9.99 for the cheapest pound of ground beef.
Ask yourself, how the hell do people retire these days?
Instead of $140, it's going to cost you around $250.
These signs are everywhere. People are working more, borrowing just to make ends meet. For millions of Americans, life itself has become harder to afford. And people start to notice that. If it's not your rent, your bills, your grocery store, it will be something else every single month, and people are tired of it. And if you are new on this channel, make sure you subscribe, comment, and tap the bell and hype me up. That's a new option. Hype me up. Let's check out this video.
Why are you so stressed? Because I don't have enough money. There's just not enough money. State's like, you don't get food stamps no more because you got a bonus. 1 month. Just not enough money for anything. You paid the bills and there's just a handful of money left and it's not even enough for groceries for 2 weeks. Fuck, and I can't get to the food pantries because we only have 1 car. And I get to work and they want to stress me out too. Hey, being poor, you work, and you got nothing. You don't qualify for nothing because you make a little bit too much 1 month.
My girlfriend left for work this morning and apparently she left the freezer slightly open and all this food was so defrosted. We just bought a lot of this. We can't afford this. What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do?
As someone who lives here in New York, the struggle is real, baby. When I tell you the struggle is real, it is real. There are people who have full-time job with benefits, but still have to worry about transportation, worrying about if they can even afford a Metro card. There's people who have full-time jobs and they can't even afford to buy something during their lunchtime. It's wild.
Well, there goes $600 on a car full of groceries. No wonder the all-time, population statistic, whatever the hell you want to call it, is at its all-time low. The amount of people having babies is at an all-time low. Let that sink in. But no, that has nothing to do with the affordability of life in general. I can't imagine, literally cannot imagine people that have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, upwards of 12 children. I honestly do not understand. Kudos to you, but I would simply just probably crawl up under a rock and pass away. This is absolutely ridiculous. That's my mini rant for the day.
It feels like everything has gone up this year and I'm getting ripped off. I just dropped my dog off at the groomers and they just text me being like, your dog's having such a great time. By the way, it's going to cost you, instead of $140, it's going to cost you around $250. When I asked them about the price increase, they go, oh, she just has a lot more mats and her weight actually is a bit higher now, so it's going to cost you more money. Well, bruv, you should have told me, to do a jump of $100+ is a lot of money, and then tip on top. I was not planning for that. My gym just went up another $20 and they didn't tell me. That's weird because my membership only costs around $30 a month. Well, no, it's actually $10 extra more a month than I thought it was because it just went up this year. And they forgot to tell me and they said, oh no, we sent out an email, and I went, no, you didn't. My tax lady this year told me that I owed $1,350, but last year it cost me $700. So please explain the jump.
I just watched a TikTok asking the question of what is going to happen when the average American can no longer afford to live in this country. And a lot of the comments were saying, oh, we'll just move to Europe or move to another country or something like that. and, pretty much saying that they'll rescind their citizenship and move somewhere else, which in a perfect world, that's a good idea. You know what I'm saying? If you can make US dollars while living in another country, or finding a place that just doesn't really require as much bullshit as this country does to live, then yeah, I'm all for it. But I think, and I've had this theory for a while, I think it's going to take a different turn. Once it gets to the point where the average American can no longer afford to live with basic essentials, can't afford groceries, can't afford housing, things like that, I think that corporations are going to take over. I really think that there are plans in place to establish corporate housing and pretty much just living in a pod, a company issued pod like Idiocracy or Ready Player One, where you live there as long as you're working at that job and everything is provided by the company, nothing is yours, and you'll just be happy with it. You know what I'm saying?
Education has doubled and tripled. Housing has doubled and tripled. Food has doubled and tripled.
Yes.
Unless you owned a home or owned apartment or land or assets before 2020, before the big inflation boom, you are sitting at a huge disadvantage where you're spending 70, 80% of your income on things that will just barely sustain yourself. And so what the boomers are saying, you kids, what are you doing? We need to keep things the same. They look at them and say, what are you talking about?
Yes. Yeah. For the baby boomers to buy a home, the affordability compared to today, it's like night and day.
I believe the math is in the 70s, you could work a few hours a day of minimum wage and afford a Yale tuition. Try doing that now.
Yeah, forget about it.
I think oftentimes when people are talking about the affordability of places in the US and how expensive the cost of living is right now, they forget to talk about the Midwest. I live in Detroit, Michigan, and it is just so expensive to live here. Rent has gone up so much, but I can't afford to move somewhere else. I can't afford first month, last month, and security deposit because I can't save money because my income isn't raising while my rent is raising. And I can't afford to spend $5 per gallon of gas to drive myself to work because I'd have to move away from my job in order to find somewhere that is somewhat affordable when I'd probably still be living paycheck to paycheck. My family shouldn't suffer because large leaders that could do something about this choose not to. They get tax breaks that we don't. It doesn't impact them, so they're not going to do anything about it. They don't care. Groceries have gotten so expensive, it's so hard to support a family at all, even with multiple jobs in the household. Leaders, major CEOs that make billions of dollars every year aren't doing anything when they could be because it doesn't impact them.
I'm gonna need someone to explain to me why it costs more for me to make spaghetti for my family than to go to McDonald's. Are we great yet, America? Someone explain why it costs $9.99 for the cheapest pound of ground beef. I'm sorry, but the pounds are looking a lot chintzier than they used to. The fact that I almost put my groceries back and drove my ass to McDonald's is telling of how bad it's actually got here. And like, why do I have to be rich to get my kids the good freaking beef? I have to spend $10 on beef that was probably cows fed all sorts of crap. We have no idea. And now our kids are being fed this crap. And then we wonder why America's kids are growing up unhealthy. I'm sorry if I'm cranky. My air conditioner blew about a week ago and I haven't been able to fix it because I don't have a savings account. My husband and I both work in education. And in case you didn't know, dual education incomes isn't enough to pay the bills anymore. I mean, God, a couple of years ago when my kids were still in daycare, I could afford more than I can now. And they're not even in daycare, they're in school. Someone explain that math to me, please. Before you come at me like, oh, get another job. Summer's only 180 days. I am working my ass off this summer to try to make money on TikTok Shop, another full-time job, which I did all school year, 2 jobs together, and I cannot make enough money. Because guess who swooped in and bought TikTok and made it so much better? That's right, good old America, making things great. Ask any TikTok Shop affiliate when things started going downhill, they'll all tell you the same glitch happened. All I know is that in my 20 years of education, I know when I go back to school, this will be the first time I will be burnt out before I even started. Oh, use your time to relax, they say. I can't afford to. I can't pay my bills, so I have to do something to make up that money. Oh, take a vacation. How am I gonna afford that? I was literally supposed to go camping with my friends last weekend and had to cancel because I couldn't come up with the money it costed to go camping. My kids haven't seen their grandparents in 3 years because if I can't afford to go camping, I sure as hell can't afford a trip across the country. And if anyone comes in the comments saying you know what you signed up for, immediately block. Because I don't know why people think that it's okay to see a teacher crash out and go in the comments and comment that crap. And no, I didn't know what I was getting into because it wasn't like this when I started 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. Anyway, thanks for coming to my crash out.
I cannot be the only 58-year-old grandma out here in social media land asking herself, ask yourself, How the hell do people retire these days? Because they say it takes $1.46 million in order to be able to retire comfortably. Well, what's comfortably mean? You guys, everybody has a different perception on life, correct? And what they can live with, what they can't, their means of life, okay? Well, listen, nobody has that kind of money. Nobody can even put back that kind of money because it's not here. We're all working like dogs.
I bought a house in Texas and immediately I couldn't afford it. The bills were piling up, new bills that I never had to pay before. And I was thinking to myself, how am I going to do this? I got a second job. Life was stressful. I was scrolling on social media. I seen some things about Bali, Thailand. I asked some friends that I knew had traveled quite a bit. I said, hey, what do you think about Bali? What do you think about Thailand? They said, oh, you would love it. I said, yeah, I think so too. Did a little bit more research, instantly got a property manager, put my stuff up for sale on Facebook Marketplace, and boom, within 4 months, I was out of there. And once I did it, I realized life can be simple. Life can be easier. And it was. My mental health is in a better place. And now I'm thinking to myself, I should have done this a long time ago. Most people don't want to give up what they have or what they've built because they think they're losing. But in reality, you're actually winning.
A lot of people are talking about like the housing market right now, especially here in Texas. What I think keeps getting missing from that conversation is if you think, yes, it is really difficult for any first time homeowner to be able to afford a home, to purchase a home. I think a lot also gets lost in the sauce of us talking about how much it takes to maintain said home. Because that is the part of home ownership that also adds to its unaffordability right now. We're not talking, and this is the reason why we can't have, like, we don't have these really inclusive conversations that connects all the dots to the systems. So we're always just trying to go after a symptom, not as what the overall system is showing you that's a problem. I got my home back in 2014. At that time, the market was really going up here in the area of the Hill Country, Texas area. Like we lived in South Austin. Like I lived in South Austin for most of my 17 years being out here. And then like the market was so fierce that we kind of got priced out of being able to live and get a home in South Austin. A lot of people had to go north. You had to go further north in Austin up towards, Round Rock, Pflugerville, Georgetown, Hutto, in order for you to be able to have some affordable housing. And that was back in 2014, 2015. Like I said, getting the house, we were able to get the house. That's what people don't always prepare you for. And it's different for everybody, but every home requires maintenance. So I'm always thinking like, okay, so what if they do make some changes that makes purchasing a home affordable? Does that still solve the problem, or is it just solving one of the symptoms? Because the issue is we aren't making enough money. Because honestly, let's say that you do have the money for you to put down on a first home and for you to pay your mortgage for like a year. Okay, that's good. That's a good setup. You got that much money. You're able to do that. You're able to make the payments. But then something catastrophic happens. One of your major appliances go out. I had a year where my fridge, my dryer, and my washing machine went kaput. I mean, what are you going to do? You got to replace that. That costs money. I've been in my home plus 10 years. I need to get my roof repaired. In fact, after all this storm and hail damages, I need a new roof. That costs money. Several months ago, my water heater, I stepped out in my garage and my water heater was leaking. It went kaput. There goes $2,500 right there. So that's another part of the conversation that I want people to start thinking about when we're talking about the housing market and the housing crisis. Like, it's not just being able to afford getting a home. It's, are we also able to not just purchase that home, but be able to live, thrive, and maintain that home? And the answer is a giant resounding no, because the job market is like frayed. So many people have been laid off. The amount of money and salaries have not kept up to the rising cost of everything.
It's truly astounding to see how many people are finally realizing that the economy is crumbling. I've worked in a number of industries over the last few years that show great indicators of the economy going down. The railroad being one of them. And I was making great money with the railroad a number of years ago, and then the shoe dropped. And what people don't realize is back in 2008, during that financial crash, they fixed absolutely nothing. All they did was print trillions of dollars. So you don't realize when they do that, all that is doing is pushing the pain off to a later date. You didn't fix anything. You didn't fix the broken bones. You didn't fix the contusions. You didn't fix the bleeding. None of it. You just pushed it off to a later date and you just put that body on life support. And at a certain point, it's going to crumble and it's going to be even worse than it would have been if you just would have suffered the pain. That's not what they wanted to do. They wanted to push this off as far as possible until they got into a new economic system. Now they have data centers in place, they have 5G in place, they have all of the necessary infrastructure where they can switch into a new monetary system, and that's what they're going to do. What people don't realize is that it won't be one for one. So today you might have $1, tomorrow you might have 50 cents. You might have a quarter. It's not going to be one for one because of the amount of debt that's out there. It's upwards to $250 trillion worth of unfunded liabilities. That's why they're like, yeah, we're not paying you Social Security. They're paying for Medicare, Medicaid, all of these other benefits. They do not have the money. So that's why things are bad, and that's why they're going to continue to get worse until they flip over the new system. It's still going to be bad then. That's why there's a great divide between the rich and poor. Every single year, every single 4 years, it's like, yeah, we're going to vote our way out of this. It doesn't matter what side gets in, left or right, it's still the same results. That top 1% is getting wealthier, and the bottom 99% is getting poorer. The system is meant to be this way. They're not going to do anything to fix it for your benefit. It would behoove you if you start educating yourself on monetary policy, on economics. This is a fractional reserve system, meaning there's nothing backing it up. Back in 1971, they got off the gold standard. There's nothing backing this up besides the military. Oil's no longer backing this up either. So there's going to be a lot of pain to come because they don't need as many people. This is their words. They do not need as many people. People are like, well, if they get rid of all the jobs, who are going to buy these goods? They're not going to have that many goods to go around for the vast majority of us. They placated everybody with these cheap goods and all of these trinkets on purpose. The pain is coming. You better prepare now while you can. Life sucks for a lot of people. It's not sunshine and rainbows for me either. I just recently took a new job where I was telling myself I really don't want to do this, but I need to do this. It went from that to I want to do this because I'm flipping that switch in my head to force myself to do that because it's going to get me into a better position that I need to be. If you're working all day long, 12, 13, 14, 15 hours, 2 jobs, full-time, part-time, double full-time, be glad that you can do that right now because at a certain point, very shortly, you will not be able to do that. It's just straight economics. It will not be possible. So enjoy it while you can because, yeah, things are about to change and change real soon. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm not saying this to. I'm just letting you know. Back in 2008, they warned that they can tax everybody's wages at 100% and they still will not be able to service the interest on the debt. What does that tell you? The interest alone is killing the debt. Anyone who has credit cards or a mortgage or student loans realize paying the bare minimum will never get you anywhere. The bare minimum won't get you anywhere. So, yeah, it sucks now, but you're gonna wish for this suck in the near future, because this is gonna get suckier.